At CareFM, you can choose the abortion care that works best for you. With in-person visits in Atlanta, Chicago, and the D.C. area, or medically supported abortion pills by mail in 20 states. Some people feel more comfortable meeting with a provider in person and leaving either no longer pregnant or with pills in hand. Others prefer getting abortion pills by mail. Just fill out a short online form and, if eligible, your medication arrives in a few days in a plain package. When you choose abortion pills, Cara, our text-based abortion companion, is with you every step of the way, offering 24/7 support and answers whenever you need them. However you get care, CareFM will support you every step of the way. Learn more at carefm.org.
Get your mother-loving ears on because your big-time radio DJ's got news. PayPal lets you choose how you want to pay for all the stuff. With PayPal, I can pay in-store, pay online, or pay over time. What's that? You want this translated into song? I hope you're sitting down. You can pay your own way. You keep those ears on, you hear? Don't just pay, baby. PayPal.
Learn more at paypal.com.
It's 7v7 soccer. Smaller the pitch, faster the action. The world's elite soccer clubs compete for their share of a massive $5 million prize. Catch World Sevens on TNT, True TV, and HBO Max December 5th through the 7th.
Hello. Your film club for May is today's Zero Dark 30, Kathryn Bigelow's controversial film of the hunt for Osama Bin Laden. Next week it's the report on the CIA's torture program, but sit back and enjoy Roger, Tim and me discussing Zero Dark 30. Tim, Roger, welcome back. It is film club time again. Thank you very much for joining me both.
Great pleasure, Ollie.
Thanks to be here.
And this is our Al-Qaeda double bill, so we'll be listening. Today's episode is on Zero Dark 30, and then next week it will be the report. The two go very well together, involve many of the similar characters and real life people. And Zero Dark 30, it's Al-Qaeda double bill, or as I like to call it, the torture double bill. And Zero Dark 30, directed by Kathryn Bigelow. Have I pronounced that right?
Bigelow. Surely.
Bigelow.
Yeah.
Okay, Bigelow. Starring Jessica Chastain, Jason Clarke, Joel Edgerton, loads of Brits in this. Mark Strong, Jennifer L.
Ely.
Ely.
Have you had a stroke, Ollie?
I'm just getting all the strange surnames pronounced incorrectly. Even John Barrowman makes an appearance in this.
I didn't actually see him. I just saw it in a review thing that he makes a fleeting appearance. I missed him.
Well, I think it is blink and you miss him.
It is. Yeah. Well, good. It wasn't just me. Yeah.
I mean, he's been cancelled anyway, I think.
Yes, he has indeed. Yeah.
Jeremy Strong, people may know from what's that? That show.
Not Suspicion. This is a great start.
Oh God, we've all had strokes. It's the one with Brian Cox. Succession.
What's wrong with that?
Also, I mentioned Joel. Chris Pratt's in it. Stephen Delane, love Stephen Delane. He's in it. Loads of it.
Yeah.
And this will be relevant in one of our award categories. Possibly my favourite sort of supporting cast member, Carl Chandler.
Right.
James Gandolfini as well.
Yeah. You've run over all of these actors and said loads of Brits, but you have mentioned a lot of Australians as well.
Oh, have I? I've probably lumped them all in
as Brits.
So
I mean, they technically are, but
Jason Clarke's Australian, isn't he?
He's Kiwi, isn't he?
No, I think he's Australian.
I think he's Australian.
Okay.
Yeah, he's Australian, and Joel Edgerton is Australian, obviously, as well.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, but they're sort of honorary Brits, though, aren't they? Let's be honest.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So this is the story. Basically, it's the story of the Osama bin Laden hunt that took really. I mean, they only took seriously after the 9/11 attacks, of course. And this film, I mean, this is Kathryn Bigelow. who she's a bit. I don't know.
Be very careful.
So her last film before this was The Hurt Locker,
Great film.
which was excellent, really good. This
And she was the first female to win Best Director at the Oscars
right.
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
She's married to James Cameron, or was. And she's of course made the great surfing movie Point Break.
Yeah, Point Break, also good. Yeah.
And K-19, The Widowmaker.
Yeah, and she directed James Cameron's script Strange Days with Ray Fiennes.
I love that film.
Science fiction, and a really good horror film in the 80s called Near Dark.
I haven't seen that.
Don't know.
With Bill Paxton.
Well, anything with Bill Paxton. And it's got Lance Henriksen, I noticed. That.
Yes.
Oh, love him.
The Strange Days is a really clever sci-fi film. I'd recommend listeners
really
check
good.
that
I
out.
think, but underrated actually.
Yeah, it is. And it's got really good cast.
So what we're saying is pedigree style.
Yeah, she's got pedigree, but I think my problem with the Zero Dark 30, and it's basically a film in two parts, isn't it? The hunt and then the Navy SEALs getting involved.
Yeah, well, that's quite. I mean, I would say that's the last third.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, two parts don't have to be exactly the same length, actually, Tim, do they? But
Catty this morning, isn't he?
He hates this film. This is the issue.
No, I don't hate it. I just think it's basically, I think it's American propaganda. It implies, it certainly implies torture is a good thing because it gets results. Even though if you look into the detail behind it, the guy they torture spend a lot of the first few minutes of the film torturing, didn't provide them anything from torture.
Yeah, see, I would.
Is that the point?
I would question that as well. I really like it. I like it a lot more than its counterpoint, The Report. I think it's really well paced. It's got some really good set pieces. And I think even on that question of the torture thing, I think it's actually more ambiguous than you're saying, Ollie, because it's quite clear. No, it's sort of implied, I suppose, that the vital bit of intelligence was there all along. They just had overlooked it. And actually, the whole sort of tone of the film is one of almost a descent into darkness. Right, I saw, and I think both morally and otherwise, and I think that's where it shows its moral compass. So it's not an advert for torture. I think it's much more subtle than you're portraying it. Actually,
I don't agree at all. Actually, I think I think it shows them doing all this torture, and then you have. Sorry, Tim. I know you're desperate to dive in, but. The Jason Clarke character, and a lot of these. The other problem I got is you have the people who are sort of being tortured are real figures, and some of the senior officials are real figures, and then the people actually doing all the dirty work in the CIA are all composite characters. But the Jason Clarke figure, who seems to have no problem with torturing, then gets a nice cushy job back in the CIA later on in the film.
But I would argue that's not an advert for torture. I think that's basically what happened.
But
which is unforgivable, and they're just showing it in its.
Yeah, but they're not showing. They're not. I think they're showing torture in a manner that suggests that it was a completely legitimate technique in order to obtain information to find Osama bin Laden. There's very little nuance on whether it was successful or not.
No, but I think if you could argue very strongly, like Roger says, that the what they're showing in Zero Dark 30 is exactly what was reported in the report. If you see what I mean, that they're
well, I guess it's the CIA's view in that
Jason
it worked.
Clarke's character, of course, is going to think and does, this is perfectly legitimate and this is the way I'm going to do it. This is the way it should be done, because it will yield results. Whereas I see Zero Dark 30 very much through the eyes of Chastain, because I think she is the leading thread through the film.
Yes.
Where she absolutely. At first is rather reluctant. I think you can see that there's very much in her performance that she isn't comfortable
No, it's
initially.
definite
No,
ambivalence.
she couldn't. She was said, "Yeah, let's get back in there and do more torture."
Yeah, yes,
and that was her first day.
But the way but the way she react, the way you can see her witnessing this, I thought it was quite a subtle performance. But it slowly becomes apparent to her that this may be the way to do it. But I don't see her as being this is the manner that in which we need to get the intel. I see her journey as simply wanting to get to Osama bin Laden. I think that's her
and she'll
direct,
do whatever it takes.
And there's an element in her performance which is like a descent into madness as well, because
a little bit, because I think that's why I find her character arc actually very interesting. If you think about the amount of the years that it's covering, then I do think that there is something empathetic with her journey, not because of the manner in which it's being done, simply that this is a person who has a prime objective and a mission, and I've seen it so many times, and I've never thought, well, they're showing that torture is the way to do it, or rather, sorry, torture is fine. And that's why. So I've never really seen the film like as a piece of American propaganda, because I don't think. Firstly, I think that Bigelow's work isn't like that. She's not that type of person, I don't think.
I'm not sure if you've seen Point Break.
Point Break is I was saying this. Point Break is for teenagers. Who
I completely agree. I would say this is great for teenagers, this film.
You watch Detroit, or even The Hurt Locker. You watch Detroit, and Detroit is anything but sort of the stance with which you kind of claim that Zero Dark 30 is taking.
Look, it's a different film, and I agree. Detroit's actually, I didn't think it was brilliant, Detroit, but it was.
I thought it was great. I love her style. I think she has sort of like a Paul Greengrass type style of filmmaking that I think, and she gets such an amazing work out of her actors.
I mean, The Hurt Locker was just fantastic, really good.
Yeah, and it's weird because I never, whatever approach that you think that they're taking in terms of the Americans and the American belief in what's right, what's wrong. I'd never seen the film as kind of anything but, okay, this is what they believe that they need to do.
Yeah.
And that's why it does actually make a good pairing with the report, because then you think, and it comes up in that film that, they thought that this was actually a way of a scientific approach.
Yes. And just to interject, Tim, if I may, sorry, but then the alternative method, sort of MO here, was to get someone who would defect and so on, and they had that scene, and again it's portraying real events, that Camp Chapman scene where they've been told that this guy, he's close to the leadership and he's going to defect and he's going to tell them all this stuff, and then they arrange it and he turns up and he blows them all up because he's a suicide bomber. So in a sense, you're left with the narrative, well, what else are they going to do? Because they can't, you can't use those sort of old sort of subterfuges. They obviously don't work with an enemy like that.
That I thought was an extraordinarily great scene.
Yeah, it's a great scene.
It's
absolutely
amazing,
right? Yeah,
and the thing is,
but in terms of the narrative, it shows you that in a sense, rightly or wrongly, they perceived that they didn't really have another option.
No. And the thing is that one thing that Zero Dark 30 does show is kind of that notion that this is not going to happen again. There are people who are petrified, citizens of the United States, the families that lost all those people in the towers and the flights, and you can see. I think you can see it on particularly Chastain's face that it's not necessarily a case of got to be careful what I say, but dealing with this in a humane manner, of course, but this is the most serious thing that has ever happened to her in her life. It's the most important job she will ever have. And you can see through I mean, it's what, a decade? When she finally she blows up at Carl Chandler. You know, you can see all those years in coming out in her frustration. And it's that serious, and therefore, you know, I don't think it's an interesting film because it's not simply a matter of torture is wrong. This shouldn't have, you know, it shouldn't have happened, of course. And that's why it's interesting in the report what comes out, and in fact what was important and what was known and what wasn't known. But I think that it's in the context, in that actual period of time where they probably maybe didn't even know whether it initially was working or not or whatever. She had one prime objective. Jason Clarke's character had a prime objective, and you know, I guess that was his job, and that's what they thought was going to work. So I
think there's another element to this, Tim, in that there's partly that they don't show in the film, but which is undoubtedly true, is that the CIA feel a certain level of guilt over mishandling of intelligence reports leading up to 9/11 and refusing to share intelligence with other intelligence agencies.
Like the FBI.
Exactly.
I mean, there was obviously a massive conflict there.
Yeah. And
so they're overreacting.
Yeah, and then it's overcompensating. You know, we must do something. And
but I think again, let's not play down the sort of the searing existential sense of threat that 9/11, you know, engendered in the American people. I mean, that was
I completely get that, and you know,
massive.
But by going down that route and not really, I don't think they deal with it very well in the film. You guys clearly have no problem with torture.
clearly morally inferior.
You're clearly inferior to me. Listeners, I'll put email addresses in the show notes. But I mean, this is
torture needs.
Because I think the what happened as a result, as a consequence of 9/11, we're living in that world today, but it's a complete destruction of the West as a kind of moral. Maybe we never had that moral. We were never coming from a good place morally after Vietnam War and all that stuff. But you know, Iraq and Afghanistan,
we had the perception of ourselves as
torture. Which,
but I think that
was a disaster, absolute disaster.
You see, I think that comes across in the film because the end of the film.
I really don't think it does.
Well, listen. So the end of the film is not hoorah, you know, cheering and you know we got him kind of. It's quite dark. It's quite thoughtful, and her character, you know, she gets on the plane and then and then there's her just standing there, and it was like, it is like a what the hell do we do now moment. Both for her and by extension for America, you know, it's very thoughtful ending.
Yeah, and of course
they go on to Libya, don't they? Libya.
It's a great point because you know, you watch it now in retrospect and you think, well, crikey, look at what's to come.
Yeah.
You know, and I do. The thing is that I do see this incredible frustration in all of them when all of this is happening. You know, 9/11's happened. There's all sorts of intel that's being gathered. There's the suicide in the desert, or where Jennifer Ellie unfortunately, her demise. All of this, and then of course the reports of 7/7 in London happens, and you think to yourself, you know, if you put yourself in their shoes, I would be, unbelievably devastated.
Yeah.
You know, and
searching for someone to torture.
Yeah, well, there is an element of I suppose on a very basic level of wanting to avenge yourself, you know.
Yeah,
and I'm not justifying that, but it's part of it.
Now, It's a very, I mean, you're like Ollie was like, yeah, of course, you just want to torture people. Now, now
Ollie
that's
is a one-man moral superpower, of
yes,
course.
of course. But if that's a very, that's that's the gray area of this debate, I guess. At the end of the day, what can you do? What are they're gonna, whether intelligence is actually real, whether it's working. I mean, how long in this film, Zero Dark 30, are the torture scenes up until? It's like
First half hour?
It's basically at the beginning, and then it kind of descends into just sort of intelligence gathering, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, of course, as we know, torture was ongoing whilst they were doing, I mean, if they couldn't constantly show torture throughout the entire film. I mean,
as much as Roger and I wanted,
you would enjoy that. Yeah.
Clearly.
Well, ironically, the next film does. So.
Yes, that's true. But aside from all of this, I think it's a brilliantly constructed film.
Yeah, and it's completely gripping. I thought. I mean, watching it again, really, really good film. Really
and
good.
Episodic in its sort of, well, this happened, and then it goes to the next kind of the next. I want to say sort of set piece, and I remember the very first time I saw it, I didn't know that they'd had the storming of his house at the end. Of course, originally when they were making it, that it hadn't happened, and then Obama ordered the troops to go in, and so they kind of stuck it on, in the making of the film.
So it was originally about the hunt for Bin Laden, and thinking he was in Tora Bora and all that stuff. It's amazing how these places sort of loomed so large for so long, and then they disappear, like Tora Bora. I mean, nobody's mentioned that word for the last 20 years.
Hiding in a cave.
Yeah.
But I mean, I completely agree. Once we get to, we're going to sort of assume he's where he is in Pakistan, near the Pakistani West Point.
Yes.
Which is very funny when Mark Strong says that to the Gandolfini character who's playing Leon Panetta, I think. But it gets brilliant. Then I thought that was much better.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed that.
But that element of, the descent, like I said, that descent into darkness, I think is I think it's much more. I think honestly, Ollie, I think it's much more nuanced than you're giving it credit for. And I'm waiting for Tim to back me up here, and he's not doing it.
It's okay to want an abortion. Did you know 1 in 4 people who can get pregnant will have one? So it's actually more common than most people think. At CareFM, you can choose what type of abortion care works best for you. We have in-person locations with private entrances in Atlanta, Chicago, and the Washington, D.C. areas. And we also offer medically supported abortion pills by mail in 20 states. For some people, it's more comforting to come into a private office where they can sit with one of our medical providers and either leave no longer pregnant or with abortion pills in hand. For others, they prefer to get abortion pills through the mail so they can decide the best time and place to complete the process. Getting abortion pills by mail from CareFM is simple. Fill out an online form, and a licensed provider will review your medical history. And if eligible, your medication will be shipped to you in a couple of days. Kara, our text-based abortion companion, will guide you through the process from start to finish with instructions, reminders, and answers to all your questions whenever they come up 24/7. With either choice, please know CareFM will support you every step of the way. Learn more at carefm.org.
No, I agree. I completely agree, because the thing is it's from a point of view relatively. You see, I would argue that it's relatively objective quite often. Now, it's Ollie's squinting, doesn't quite know what I'm talking about. I think it's told through the eyes, primarily through the eyes of Jessica Chastain. But in terms of all the info that's gathered, all of the pretty much, I don't know. I don't find it has a singular point of view as to what is kind of preaching.
The one area I would maybe So the scene where, the disastrous suicide bombing that takes out, I think, 7 or 9 CIA
Yeah.
agents or
Camp Chapman.
contractors.
Yeah.
That shows like the CIA officer screwing up big time. She says, "Oh, just let him through." Oh, I've baked him a cake.
Yeah.
So clearly, she wanted the intelligence to deliver what her theory was,
Yeah.
that this guy was, a double agent. It turned out he was a triple agent.
But it shows you that being nice to them didn't work, Ollie. Didn't work.
Bake them a cake. And in Bigelow's style, it's kind of voyeuristic. The kind of intrusive. The third eye, the camera is kind of like an observer quite often, because it's all handheld. It's almost like fly on the wall.
When the Jessica Chastain character is attacked, leaving her house in
Yes. Good scene. Yeah.
And her poor sort of bodyguard who's just like he's just sort of firing a machine gun.
Yeah.
Not really aiming.
And
but who
that's what I
closes
feel.
the door, so saves her life actually.
Very true. Well, that's how I take the film. That's how I see the film, is kind of like we're taking a viewpoint here. That's how I see her films in general. Well, particularly her recent ones. It's like we're just witnessing this happen.
Then you're saying it's a little bit more documentary like, which you mentioned Greengrass, which he's known for, but this is not documentary because it doesn't show any of the CIA intelligence screw ups.
No, but there's there may be logistical and time wise. This is what it's relatively long film, actually.
2.5 hours, I think.
And I guess they had to say, look, well, this is what we're either going to do this, we're going to do this, and I guess they couldn't do everything without making it maybe a mini series or something. Whereas, like, for example, The Looming Tower takes different, which is a great television series, takes different, but it has that time to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I recommend listeners check out The Looming Tower, which is on Amazon Prime. I think it's I would say it was certainly a much more interesting view of the failures.
And that's but that's what it concentrates on, really.
Yeah.
Whereas this is
after 9/11, of course.
Yeah. And of course
but it's the same important to remember. These CIA people didn't just get hired after 9/11. They've all got a backstory. They all worked on this hunt for Bin Laden prior to 9/11. And so I think certainly the film doesn't mention that.
I think history, I'm going to be maybe a bold comment here. I think history might be quite kind to this film, because I think when we get over the still heightened emotions around this whole episode, which, you still feel whenever Alistair Campbell appears on television or whatever, you see like the comments below the line are just unbelievable. And with justification. I mean, but anyway, but there's still this heightened emotion around this entire episode. How, like you said, I think the West kind of squandered its what remained of its sort of moral probity. Once that has died down, I think this film will be seen in a much more positive light. Without that overlay of emotion, as a pretty exciting, gripping, but also it actually, like I said, more nuanced than I think we give it credit for.
One thing I wanted to mention, that a friend of mine went to watch cricket in Pakistan recently, and he went to see the compound in
Bottomad.
Yeah, and so he asked,
and it's still there.
I had to get a security escort there. So he's got a photograph. I might put it on the Instagram. It's a photograph of him with his escort. They've all got machine guns, and he's standing on the compound.
What is it
is
now?
Completely flattened. There's nothing there. It's just a grass patch, but they're standing on his compound.
Okay.
It's quite funny. And I sent a picture to my dad, and he said, "Oh, that's great for the neighbours. The views improved."
Great.
Anyway, I thought I would mention that. Right. So yeah, and that last section is just outstandingly good. You know,
It
the
is.
helicopter crashing.
Very, very, very good. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So should we do our awards then?
Yes.
Right. Best scene. So I think probably my favorite scenes. I'll list out a few of mine, and then you can add in. But I think that one in that we've talked about at the Camp Chapman.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah. And you kind of know what's happening, what's going to happen.
Yeah. But it's the anticipation of it that is so exciting.
Yeah, and it's quite tragic because it's just tension building. I mean, Bigelow's a master at that, isn't she?
Yeah.
No, that was very well done. And also that search through the market. You know, when they're trying to track this phone.
That's so good.
Really good. Really
is that he's coming up on the because he's in a car as they realize. It's so good.
That's a really good scene. And then it's hard to get away from. I mean, if you can count it as one scene, you know, the raid is astonishing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and that you know, the guy that actually shot Bin Laden, and then they say, like, you know, do you know what you've just done? And he kind of, this is sort of look in his eye.
Yeah.
Okay, I've just shot Bin Laden. You know,
mind you, Roger and I haven't mentioned the fact that the torture scenes at the beginning. You know, surely they've got to be up there.
It's not your favorite scene, Roger.
Why are you pinning this on me, Ollie? It's Tim that's talking about it.
Actually, the only reason why I say is because I think Jason Clarke is one hell of an underrated actor.
Yeah. He is very good.
Everything he is in, he is super good. He's excellent. Remember him in Oppenheimer. He was never mentioned as a wonderful performance in that, but I think he's scintillating.
I think you and I mentioned it on our review.
I think we did. Yeah, you're right.
So listeners, if you have seen or want to see Oppenheimer, check out our
and he's super good at playing a bastard, but he's also can be so if you've seen Everest, he leads the hikes, the mountain climbs.
More than the hike up Everest.
Yes. No, it's a stroll.
Yeah, that's that excellent film of a
brilliant film. And he's so good in it, and he plays his usual. Well, I would say usual. He's usually playing an American, but I thought he was. You know, he opens this film.
Yeah.
And it's very powerful. I mean, it's very uncomfortable. And I think this is the point. Can I just very quickly say? I don't think the audience should be going, yeah, God damn it.
Yeah.
Torture him.
Well, no, but he elicits information through torture, and there's very little evidence, if any, that actually happened.
Fine. Yeah. It does take a while, if any, actually.
Yeah.
But I thought he was brilliant. And so that's why I think it's a very powerful scene. But the also the bomb in the cafe when Chastain and Jennifer Ellie meet
in the hotel in
Pocono.
Marriott hotel bombing. Yeah,
because it's so well set up. It's quite I didn't expect that coming. You know that you do expect the suicide.
Yeah,
because you kind of know what's going to happen. But this comes out of nowhere, and it was just.
Yeah,
I just thought it was excellent, really well staged, brilliant production design.
We have to settle, and to me, I mean, you know, it has to be the final, surely.
I can't really see past that. It's too good.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Most inaccurate. Well, I don't know. I just think that there's a kind of general air of, you know, we're really they're doing such a great job. And
I didn't get that.
I didn't get that. I was like, this is not working.
No, exactly. I really didn't get that, Ollie.
I did,
and it sort of comes in when James Gandolfini comes in. You know, it's almost like nothing has worked up until. I mean, they've just and so it's like, do they know he's here? And finally, Chastain's like, "I'm the. Who are you?" He says, "Who are you?" And she's like, "I'm the fucker who found it." And it's kind of like. Yeah, fine. It's how long has this taken? I didn't get. I agree. They thought it was.
There's no hurrahs in this. There's not. It doesn't feel. I
don't agree. Yeah, well,
hurrah patriotism at all.
I mean, all it is Chastain going. No one's listening. Carl Chandler's like, you're screwing up. You're doing it, and it's kind of like, where's the hurrah?
Just for back my cause up here. I'm not the only person who got this impression. I should.
No, I know. No.
I mean, it did get quite a bit of criticism.
But like I said, I think that was the spirit of the age in a way. I mean, this was such a heightened emotion generally around the events that it doesn't surprise me that people read it in that way. But that's what I say, when those emotions have dissipated somewhat in, a couple of decades to come.
But I don't know.
I think people will look at it in a much more positive light.
Well, anyway, we need to settle on motion accuracy. Maybe the Panetta having his lunch in the canteen with her seemed a bit out of place.
I just had
lunch.
I had having lunch. I had under inaccurate. I had not pro torture. That's what I. That's my
well, it does. As
grasp.
I say, it shows that when they torture him, he provides them information.
Yeah. Any info that he gives
should really be the torture scene because he provides information, and that actually didn't happen. So,
a World War II historian, a filmmaker, and the owner of Aspects of History. Blanketing, there's a quite blanket statement here going, they didn't get any information whatsoever.
Yeah.
Sorry, the CIA is wrong.
No, I'm just saying, I think the CIA...
Not even a teeny tiny shred of info.
Well, they had a massive, as we'll discover in the next film, had a massive Senate report which was highly critical of the CIA.
Yes,
so
I agree.
Basically
absolutely
what we're
true.
saying,
True.
or at least what I'm saying. Right, so we'll go with that torture scene.
Yeah.
Best performance. I mean, Jessica Chastain's.
She's really good.
Jason Clarke as well, very good.
Yeah.
Well, lead.
It has to be Chastain, doesn't it?
She does carry it, really, doesn't she?
She's fantastic. Supporting. I'll always have a flame for Carl Chandler. He just looks like a CIA station chief.
Well, he looks like anything he ever plays.
Yeah. He's just fantastic.
He's brilliant.
Huge fan of Carl Chandler.
Again, I had jotted down. I know you've already done your paean of praise to Jason Clarke, but I had him jotted down for my supporting act. He was great.
Great cameo from Gandolfini.
Yeah. Yes, he's always good. But I think, Jason Clarke was superb.
Yeah.
Mark Strong.
Good.
He's good.
Solid.
He's good, actually. He's good.
Solid.
He's solid.
Yeah. Jason Clarke, I thought was really good.
Okay, well, it sounds like Jason Clarke.
Yeah. Let's give it to him.
Okay. Well done,
Aussies.
Jason. And then for I think are we at legacy rating already?
Legacy. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Roger, you're confident that there will be a.
I think this will stand up. Yeah, I really do. I think it stands up already.
Yeah, I think it. I mean, in her body of work, she's probably, people would mention either Point Break or The Hurt Locker, but The Hurt Locker because it got so many accolades, and
I think that's more of a legacy.
It probably is. I prefer this film as a film. As a piece of filmmaking, I really love this film. I think it's great. But so when people ask in years to come, or even in the past kind of 10 years, what film is about the hunt for Bin Laden? And I think people are like 0 Dark 30, surely.
Yeah, of course.
However many films there are about the actual hunt for Bin Laden, but that's neither here nor there. I think it is pretty stands up. I would give it like a 4.
It can't be that high. I think Hurt Locker has more of a legacy.
Yeah, that's 5.
5? No,
I'm with Tim.
Hurt Locker's massive.
I'm giving it 4. Absolutely.
Hurt Locker's.
Well, I'm going to give it 2, so that drags it down to 3.
It drags it down maybe 3.5.
And I'll give it 1 then. That definitely drags it down to 3. Right, this has been fantastic, listeners. If you agree with me and don't like torture, put a comment in the either X or email history@aspectsofhistory.com. If you like torture, again, you can do the same. Go on X and say I like torture. Agree with Roger and Tim.
I love torture. I love seeing people being tortured.
But the next film, I can leap on the moral high ground again, and we can discuss the report. And this actually in the report mentions 0 Dark 30.
It does.
Yes, it was actually a nice little surprise, wasn't it?
But Tim and Roger, this has been fun. Thank you very much. Thanks so much for listening. Links are in the show notes. Please share with friends and family. And if you want to get in touch, you can through X or email history@aspectsofhistory.com. But until then, thank you and good night.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our US-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.